Bureau Boys is an improvised detective serial. Every Monday morning, the Bureau Boys solve crimes based on clues sent in by their informants.
That's you! Go to thebureauboys.com to submit your clues, informant. Thanks to informant Sarah for this week's clue for the case of the Batty Billionaire, regret.
When we last left the Bureau Boys, they had been in the, quote, death room, end quote, of the Albright Estate/Manor. It's kind of a morgue for a bunch of dead animals.
Yeah, otherwise known as a morgue, right?
That's
right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And the boys had connected the fact that there was this death room on the Albright estate to the fact that the Bible references a death room, which they learned from a pamphlet that Detective Potter had picked up from the adjacent Christian Science reading room. That was a lot to throw at you, narrator.
That was plenty for my ears and the listeners. And just to clarify, we haven't fact-checked the death room reference in biblical scripture, but we're just assuming it might be there since the Christian Science Church does make a reference to the biblical death room on page 3 of their 3-page pamphlet.
Nor have we checked whether a reading room is the same thing as a church. So forgive us in advance for using those two terms interchangeably.
Now the boys walked inside the gated community of the Christian Science Church after being welcomed by a robotic voice.
And narrator, that robotic voice, we don't know came from a robot, but it was very electronic sounding because it came through a speaker at the gate.
Maybe the speaker's broken.
Or maybe it is a robot. Detective Riley, first of all, right off the bat, I think it's unusual that a Christian Science reading room/church would have a gate. And did you see the barbed wire?
Yeah, it might not just be to keep people out, but it also might be used to keep people in.
Detective Riley, when you said what was the other option that you were thinking of saying? Because those are two pretty clear opposites.
I think I'm just really thrown off by that barbed wire. I wasn't sure where my thoughts were headed.
And Detective Riley, I don't see anyone in them, but frankly, those, I guess, ramparts, they look like sniper towers.
Yeah, and if you look closely, there's some shells scattered on the ground.
Detective Potter looks closely. Indeed, there are shells scattered on the ground, and not seashells, but shells from a high-powered sniper rifle.
Shell casings. And over there, Detective Potter, that giant cross. But that's not a normal cross. I've never seen a cross with the twin snakes climbing up it.
Detective Riley, that's the Hippocratic Cross.
Tell me more.
Detective Potter grabs Detective Riley's beard and twists it into the shape of the Hippocratic Cross. Oh. You see, Detective Riley, physicians, or doctors as lay people call them, take what they call a Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Cross represents that Hippocratic Oath.
Is that like when doctors tell the patient to do one thing, but the doctors do something completely different? You know, like the opposite of what they suggest.
I think you're thinking about placebos, Detective Riley.
No, that's not it.
Yes, Detective Riley, that's exactly what I'm saying. Doctors force their patients to pledge loyalty to their doctor so then they can get their Medicare plans.
Narrator, I think what Detective Riley, and I just want to throw this out there to you as we're listening to this conversation, I think Detective Riley was thinking of the hypocritical oath.
Ah, Detective Potter must have been ducking because that flew right over his head. So anyhow, Detective Riley, what I'm saying is doctors can be as deceitful and evil as the church.
You there! You two over there! Get over here!
The boys turn toward the front steps of the Christian Science reading room/church and see a man dressed in a robe with a rope belt around his waist.
Black robe, golden belt, and a full face of ash, like completely covered his face. Not a good look in 2021, let me tell you, narrator.
You're talking about blackface, narrator?
Ash face, my God. Come on. But yeah, pretty much.
Hello, sir.
Ah.
Oh no, Detective Riley, another pirate. Sir, are you having a Halloween party and you're playing a pirate?
Yeah, you've come on the Christian Science Halloween, May 7th.
What a weird time to celebrate Halloween. For the purpose of this conversation, sir, I'm a detective. I'm going to need you to speak in your normal voice.
Pardon me, I didn't mean... Well, first of all, you're trespassing on our hallowed grounds, and I'm going to have to ask you to show some ID.
Detective Potter and Detective Riley both whip out their credit cards and show them to this stranger. I think you'll find that this checks out.
The pastor takes their credit cards and whips out a credit card machine, immediately swiping them, charging both their cards $200 for the price of speaking with the head of the church.
Now, narrator, I want to applaud you for pulling that this is indeed a pastor and indeed the head of the church, because as you know from our studious records of the Christian Science religion, that only the head of the Christian Science church/reading room is allowed to wear black ash on his face with a golden rope tied around his waist, unless he's a charlatan. But let's be honest, any man that would immediately grab credit cards and charge $400 is probably a pastor.
Totally legit. From my perspective, we'll see.
Why did you just do that? We're just detectives. And he frankly maxed out my credit. I don't think that will run.
God only speaks to those with the cash to hear what he has to say.
Can I ask if you are on social media at all?
Yes. You can find me at blackash.
Now, before you finish that website, bear in mind that I hope it's already registered. That leads to my follow-up question. Has anyone on social media made any sort of comments about your face? Were you about to launch into a hymn?
I am in the process of being cancelled.
By the way, when I say him, it could also be her. You get it, Pastor? Detective Potter nudges the pastor in the ribs with his elbow.
Oh. And Detective Potter doesn't just feel ribs, but a couple of sidearm pistols tucked away underneath those robes.
Detective Riley, can I talk to you for a second? Excuse me, Pastor. One moment, please.
Oh, of course.
Detective Riley, this guy is strapped.
Yeah, and he's kind of creeping me out. I feel like we need to report him to someone. Just take a picture. Wait a minute. This could be great for our
Instagram
online presence. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the court of public opinion. I thought you meant like a police officer.
No. He hasn't violated any laws.
Well, we don't know. I don't know that those firearms aren't registered.
Well, that's true. We're detectives. We're going to find that out. I was just thinking that maybe we could get famous by exposing him as some kind of racist. And then people would be like, well, who are these detectives that found this racist pastor? Boom. They come to the Bureau.
I completely agree with this, Detective Riley, but I also think that we should scrub our own social media history before we post this picture.
You're right.
Because you have been posting some very unusual things about climate change, frankly.
The Earth is hollow. It's also flat. And this is not the time to get into a discussion about the facts of the Earth.
But I want one quick question. How can it be flat and hollow?
Well, if you watch my latest YouTube exploration...
Okay, I'm not going to do that. The Bureau boys turned back to the pastor. Can I call you Pastor...
You may not. The pastor waves his hands in front of the boys. And as he does, the sun glints off of his shiny rings.
Excuse us for one more second, Pat. What can I address you as?
Black Ash, the man, the myth.
Ew, I'm going to call you BA. Is that cool? Can I call you BA? Please say yes.
That's fine.
Thank you. Okay, Detective Riley, did you notice his knuckles?
Yeah, they're very smooth hands.
Okay, yes, Detective Riley.
Smooth skin.
Remember the goose we examined?
Yes. With the fist-sized hole in its chest?
Exactly right, Detective Riley. The fist-sized hole in his chest. That, I didn't mention it at the time, Detective Riley, but that fist-sized hole had ring-sized holes within it.
Oh my God.
Exactly. I think we found our goose puncher, Detective Riley.
Now, be honest. Have you ever visited the Albright estate right next door? Well, we've tried many times to recruit Peter Albright. It would be great for our mission, but he doesn't seem interested in our faith.
You've tried to recruit Peter Albright. Let me ask you this, B.A. What can you tell me about a biblical death room?
Oh, yes, the death room. Well, it's well known in the book of Leviticus that if you want to preserve your medical experiments, you put them in a death room and you keep them there until the time comes when they have to rise again.
B.A., are you suggesting that my most horrifying fear is maybe actually biblically true, that dead animals will rise from the grave if they're placed into a death room?
Well, once the proper time comes and the prophecy has been completed.
Now, B.A., I was over here earlier, honestly, and I did do a little bit of reading and kind of picking around while my partner was napping in the car. When you say prophecy, are you talking about the prophecy of the one who will regret his social media choices?
That's only one part of the prophecy.
I didn't have that much time to read because he gets really cranky when he hasn't eaten in a while, so I had to get back to the car and feed him.
Yeah, and speaking of which, honestly, it's been a long day in this hot sun, and I could go for a couple taquitos right now.
Okay, well, as soon as we're done here. Anyhow, tell me about the second part of the prophecy, B.A.
Well, there's a man of many faces, a man of many outfits, a lord of the wilderness who would come forth.
Detective Riley, that sounds exactly like Peter Albright. A man of many faces, a man of many outfits, a man of the outdoors. He's all of those things wrapped into one.
And when this man completes his final form...
Does it say anything about what his final form is going to be? Or should we just find that out organically?
You know, the Bible, it isn't always exactly clear on all the descriptions. Just there will be a final form.
Okay.
And once he takes it, and then takes the life of his only son...
Detective Riley, I feel like this is the most shocking information we've ever gotten. Also, frankly, B.A., can I just say, you are the most helpful informant we have ever had.
Too bad for you. What I've told you so far is going to stay with you, because you're about to die.
Will this indeed be the death of the Bureau Boys as we know them?
Will the pastor break out those gats underneath his robes and fire shots at the boys?
Is Peter Albright the one who will regret his social media choices as the prophecy hath foretold?
What's really the point of the prophecy in the very end? You know, after the man with the many faces kills his son and then the animals come back to life, what happens next?
Yeah, to what end? Like, we don't want a bunch of zombie animals wandering the grounds. Or do we?
Wow, narrator, really fast, holy cow. And all the dead geese and all these dead animals, it's almost like a dead army being built. I don't want to write too much, but my God, my narrator brain is on fire right now.
Tune in next week for the answers to these questions and many more on the case of the Batty Billionaire. If you enjoyed this episode, help the Bureau Boys solve this case by submitting your clue at thebureauboys.com. They may use it on a future episode.
While you're there, why not join their informant network and tell all your friends and family to join too? But don't tell the criminals, because the Bureau Boys are coming for them.